Hello and welcome along to the 42 Rugby Show on Facebook Live after another Lions defeat, going down 23-22 to the Highlanders in Dunedin. It was another dramatic finish, I suppose. It was a late Elliot Daly penalty, dipped just underneath the post to deny Lions a late victory. Sean Farrell missed a penalty that you'd normally bank on him slotting away too. That 9-point lead with 20 minutes to go, you kind of expect seasoned internationals like this to see that one out, but again we're talking about indiscipline and the penalty count. I think it was 12-7, which really in modern rugby you can't win a test match, I suppose, with 12 penalties against you, and it cost the Lions in the last quarter tonight.
Yeah, real sloppy discipline again. There was a kind of sequence of 4 penalties for offside in a row, which is the kind of concerning aspect of it. We mentioned the scrum there. They also gave up a few penalties in that regard, but it has been a bit of a theme in this tour. Maybe guys are trying to impress a little bit, trying to get that line speed, get a big hit to kind of make a play to Gatland. But that loss of control, it comes without Johnny Sexton, without Owen Farrell, without Conor Murray, your kind of key tactical playmakers. And Dan Biggar had a great game at 10, I thought. But the guys coming off the bench, you just didn't have that sense of control, particularly in Greg Laidlaw at scrum half. I think if Murray had been in that position, his kicking game would have been better. Just his composure, he kind of gives you assurance around the team. And I think when they have guys like Murray and Farrell starting and really feeling the flow of that game, getting into good positions like that, they'll manage it a bit better. I think this team probably is clearly worse than, let's say, than the Saturday team. They've lost 2 out of 2 midweek now. And I think you're seeing a bit of a divide already. If you're on this line tour, you want to be in that team for the Mary on Saturday. That's the big one. I don't think the Lions are going to be too worried or dwell on this defeat too much. 11
days out, it really feels like we're starting to look towards those test teams. And I suppose, I mean, there were maybe tactical pointers there for the Lions today. The Highlanders, I suppose, aren't a bad template for how Bowden Barrett is going to approach that kicking game.
Yeah, definitely lessons in regards to the All Blacks. Number one is you should probably tackle Waisaki Naholo when he gets on the ball. Tackle him early. He was an absolute beast again tonight. Brilliant to watch him live in a pretty cool stadium here. But I think that attacking kicking was really interesting. From early on, we saw these low grubbers in behind the lines. And I think Jared Payne knocked one on earlier in the game. Naholo got on the end of one from Subwanga early in the game, and Walden at 12 for the Highlanders had some lovely touches. They're really good at just mixing up that variety of their attacking game. I asked Scott McLeod, their coach, about it afterwards. He said, no, it's not designed specifically for the Lions, but we want to put pressure on a guy who's exposed in the backfield on his own. And I think that's exactly what the All Blacks do with their attacking kicking game. It may not always be a grubber. It might be a diagonal kick pass, and we saw a couple of those. And actually, we saw Tommy Seymour score directly from a really poor Subwanga one. He just got it too high. And that's maybe a template for the Lions to go and attack that aspect of the game. But I thought it was a really good workout tactically, not only for the players, but also for the coaching staff to get a really good close-up view of what's going to happen against the All Blacks, but probably more with even more quality. And so I thought that was a valuable run out for the Lions.
From the coach's perspective, then what is the mood from Gatland post-match? I mean, I'm sure they want to be positive in that, even though it's 2 defeats out of 4 now.
Yeah, like pretty upbeat. He can't come in after 4 games and be down in the dumps about a defeat. He's positive about how the group is moving forward, and I think we can all see that they are improving. That, yeah, it was a step backwards in terms of losing a game tonight, and it reduces that momentum they gained off the Crusaders' win. But I think he also understands that he has a pretty outstanding team that he's going to be able to put out against the All Blacks in the first test, and we're probably going to see most of that side against the Mary All Blacks Saturday in Rotorua. So no, Gatland's not too down and out about it. Spoke to Rory Best as well. Just frustration. There's frustration there. Robbie Henshaw saying that, Jared Payne sitting in the change room, really frustrated with that drop ball on the restart. And I guess that's the thing. It's all about collective when they speak about Lions, but realistically, this game was about, for a lot of guys, it was about that individual performance and probably on your last opportunity. There was a big chance there, fullback with Stuart Hogg, going home, and someone like Jared Payne is frustrated because he didn't take that. I think you're going to see that throughout the squad, really. Some guys got butchered at that scrum, other guys gave away offside penalties. So yeah, there's frustration on an individual level, but collectively I think the Lions are pretty focused on moving forward.
You mentioned Robbie Henshaw briefly there. He was sensational, particularly in the first half tonight. He is definitely one that looks to have made a real claim for those test jerseys when they start being really given out in next week.
Yeah, I thought he had a good game. Some big moments of defence. There was an early tackle on Malachi Fekito when he absolutely butchered that overlap they created inside the open 10 minutes. Robbie Henshaw chased back in the 28th minute, I think, and caught Tavita Lee from behind, showed really good pace there. And he had some nice distribution at first receiver. And of course, he always gets you over the gain line when he carries. So yeah, pretty good performance from him. I think he's going to be desperate to get into a team alongside someone like Owen Farrell and Conor Murray, and that team that looked like a test side. But we've mentioned Jared Payne, and disappointing night for him. Rory Best had some really big moments. There was a big turnover close to the Lions try line in the first half, and he's one of the only guys who's getting those turnovers on this Lions tour. I think that's an area where they really want to improve going forward into the test series. You saw one from CJ Sander late in the game, almost giving them a chance to go and win it at the death. But he had started the game with a couple of errors. He got turned over twice in the first 25 minutes rather. So he would have been disappointed with that, but he bounced back. You saw that offload, absolutely spectacular, when Jonathan Joseph scored over in the far left corner. So CJ Sander brought some of those big moments, but I think generally it was kind of a mixed bag for the Irish players. Jack McGrath coming off the bench, and that scrum gets done at the end, and Marty Banks kicks the winning penalty. So yeah, I think some guys have maybe pushed their chances up a little bit, but for others it was probably a disappointing night.
You mentioned CJ's turnover on the try line. I think it was Ian Henderson paved the way for that with an absolutely enormous clear out. I mean, he was a guy who made yard after yard in contact, consistently got the Lions over the gain line, and after a very, very difficult, very sluggish looking start to his tour, he looked very much back to himself tonight as well.
Yeah, that was it. Like, one of the guys was joking that Ian Henderson needs an awful lot of sleep, so if jet lag is going to affect anyone, it's going to be him more so. He was poor on that opening night. He was soft and passive in contact, really unlike him. But he really stepped up. This was his last chance. You know, if he's going to feature at all in the test series, he had to deliver tonight. And I thought he was really muscular in contact. I thought he was really aggressive, especially around the fringes with the kind of big leg drive carries that the Lions are going to need in that area. Because I think they're going to have a look at the All Blacks defensively in that area. We saw Ireland do it in Chicago a little bit in November, and he was excellent around there. He was good in, as you mentioned, that counter-hooking turnover, but loads of pressure on the opposition, and I think Gatland really appreciates that. There is a lot of competition there in the second row, and I thought George Cruz and Alan Wynne-Jones were brilliant against the Crusaders. Maro Itoje is a great bench option, but Henderson has definitely put himself back in the mix there. He seems to be enjoying the tour as well. He's getting married 2 days after he arrives back, so he's probably the most laid-back man ever about that. I think everyone else will be stressing out, but he seems to be enjoying being part of this group. He's rooming with Maro Itoje and discussing politics and having a bit of a laugh at causing expense. So yeah, there's a bit of camaraderie there, and I think it's helped him settle in and deliver a really good performance.
The pressure of a Lions tour is nothing to a man organising his wedding, believe me. Looking ahead to the Maori then, as you say, it's kind of like an unofficial first test almost. It comes on a Saturday, a week out from the first test against the All Blacks, so you really want to, when you do get the jersey on that day, you want to be rubber stamping your place for the 3 tests ahead.
Yeah, I think we're going to see the core. Obviously, we're going to see the core of the first test side a week out. Lights are just going off in the stadium here. But I think Gatland's going to hold some stuff back. He's mentioned this before. He needs to have some sort of surprise element for the first test. So I guess the interesting thing is kind of deciphering the team. So what's actually missing? What might he be holding back? And I think the really interesting thing is we saw Owen Farrell and Johnny Sexton link really well against the Crusaders. Although they hadn't started that way, it was kind of forced onto Gatland. He keeps mentioning that they haven't trained together. Andy Farrell mentioned it the other day. To me, it looked like 2 guys who have been training extensively together. They read each other really well. They mixed and matched who was first receiver, who was second receiver. The 2 of them are very similar characters. And I thought they combined well to unlock the Crusaders' defence at times and create opportunities. I'm starting to wonder if that's the thing he's holding back, if that's the surprise he's going to spring on the All Blacks. Maybe by talking up Ben Teo, which he's done in every single press conference. He keeps raving about Ben Teo. So I just think he's going to spring a surprise in the All Blacks. He's too clever. He's too experienced to kind of show his whole hand a week out from the first test. But yeah, you're going to have the core of the squad there. You're going to want to get that front, the tight five motoring at set piece time, and that's become a bit of an issue now. Like the All Blacks and Graham Henry even seem to be suggesting that's going to be a weakness for the Lions. I think they're a little bit worried about the damage they could do there. So they need to get those kind of units working, but I think he's going to hold back something and maybe spring a surprise in the All Blacks.
What about your travel plans for Rotorua then, Murray? Are you looking forward to getting back to the North Island, a little warmer temperatures ahead of you?
Yeah, it's certainly been cooler down here. We had a nice day yesterday in Dunedin. It was pelting down today though, but I can actually hear the rain now. The stadium is really well covered. It's almost an outdoor stadium with a roof top. It's pretty cool. It's a pretty strong wind here right now. But yeah, up to Rotorua, back to the south, North Island rather. It's been pretty hectic travelling around, but certainly an enjoyable experience and meeting lots of interesting characters and spotting the Lions, kind of forming their little cliques and little groups along the way as well. So yeah, it's been really enjoyable so far.
We're looking at some new faces joining those cliques. I mean, and Gatlin mentioned that he'd wait until after today's game. Did he give any indication of what sort of player he's going to look to cover for Stuart Hogg?
Yeah, well, the kind of suggestion at the moment is that they won't actually bring in a replacement. That they have enough cover there in the squad. I think the lights are totally going out here now. But look, we haven't seen anyone stand out in the back three. The wings, especially again tonight, I didn't think they really impressed. They didn't do enough. So I think he might look at a Simon Zebo or Keith Earls. I think he needs to bring in a little bit more out wide. So it'll be interesting to follow what happens there.
All right, before the darkness and the wind takes you, we'll let you go. Thanks very much.